Today we have a special session on strategic management. Now, what we are going to do is analyzing election manifesto of Maithripala Sirisena, and also it's actually the national policy document for Sri Lanka for next 5-6 years. So, our objective is not to look it from political point of view, but our emphasis is how to use strategic management tools and practices in analyzing a policy document. So we have done similar work during our previous classes also. We analyzed special report of Sri Lanka cricket, I think 2 years ago. Last year we did national energy policy of Sri Lanka for the same class setting. Here what we are going to do is analyzing the national president's vision for the country for the next 5 years, particularly evaluating objectively and critically from strategic management point of view. So you may have different political opinion, different liking or disliking on that, but now as I have already given you the instruction, your role will be, but this kind of simulation where your group is a professional strategic management group who have been hired by the Prime Minister and the cabinet ministers to advise them on this policy document. Mainly now this is the President's vision and the policy document. How the government going to implement that, but to do that, this is like a primary evaluatory or primary presentation where you will give them analysis through a presentation. Based on that, now your groups are competing among yourself to win the bid to do the real analysis later. But now this is like a at the beginning pre-bidding presentation. So based on your quality of your presentation and how in depth you analyze, the government will select you based on your performance to do the real advisory data. Is it clear? So we are going to have 4 presentations. One is either Irish. Okay, yes, sir. So you have 20 minutes for the presentation and 10 minutes for the graduation. Okay. So you can connect your computer and do the work.
Session in country with President Maithripala Sirisena. Maithripala Sirisena, former Secretary of SLFP, used differentiation strategy to win the election. When analyzing his journey to being common candidate to president in Sri Lanka 2015, he always tried to differentiate himself from former President Hettiarachchi. First he mentioned he is a common man, not a king. Then he mentioned he is not wasting money for election activities. So when analyzing this manifesto, we have come up, we have throughout Maithripala Sirisena maintained his differentiation. So this is the outline of our presentation. First I will discuss SWOT analysis. He has a clear vision that political parties need to get together and then they have to come up with a political program that need to develop the country. Other thing is government understand the need of the people, urgent need of the people. So they have come up with solutions from this 100 days program, and the transparency of the 100-day program is really visible because there are some websites and social media network pages to keep track of this 100-day program, and made political parties, UNP, Jatika Urume, UNP, Muslim Congress, they get together for this political program. So each and everyone need to listen to all other parties, and their main strength is to attitude of power sharing and teamwork. Their weakness is slowly taken necessary action for the corruptions, and still have corruptions and abuses throughout the public sector. So this need to be eliminated, and they need to focus on art and cultural promotions, because now the main physical infrastructure is developed, so better to focus on those areas also. And agriculture mainly depend on the foreign companies. They are purchasing fertilization from foreign companies. So Sri Lankan local money go to the outside. These are the opportunities. One of the main opportunities is terminate terrorism. Now they can focus on economic side and other aspect. Then develop physical infrastructure. And we have a good physical infrastructure now in Sri Lanka. And now Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe and President Maithripala Sirisena building a good relationship with other countries. When talking about threats, unstable political environments, because minority is on government and majority is on opposition. Large amount of debt and high interest is a burden for the country, and lot of educated people moving out from the country, and due to that complaints of human rights violations, international other countries have a bad image on Sri Lanka. And after the election, some parties try to raise racism. This is make unstable the country. And Sri Lanka, talking about the freedom of media, Sri Lanka has ranked 165th position among 180 countries. Best analysis will be done right.
For the situational analysis, we use the pestle. Using the pestle, we analyze the macro environment factors that impact on Sri Lanka. First one, political factor. Sri Lanka is a domestic socialist republican unitary state, and it is governed by a semi-presidential system. That means presidential and parliamentary system. But there was a concern that power is centered among few individuals, especially after the war. Under the regime governance, the law and order manipulated by a few individuals, and politicians have interference with the business and policy operations. The politician interference for public sector and police operations. And currently Sri Lanka having an unstable political situation in the parliament. The second one is economic factor. The Sri Lanka is the fastest growing middle income country. The Sri Lankan economic model is an open mixed economic model with large public investment. That from 2010 to 2014, that means it's mixed with welfare-oriented closed economic model and growth-oriented open economic model. But currently, the current government slightly move to welfare-oriented closed economic model because they are more concerned in public sector, and they try to reduce gap between the poor and the rich, and they are more concerned in social infrastructure. Next one is Sri Lanka export agricultural commodities, apparel, and the foreign workforce. The main export market in US and the Europe, and the main import sources are India, China, East Asia, and Middle East. And Sri Lanka have some trade agreement with region-wise and the country-wise. For example, South Asian Free Trade Agreement, Asia Pacific Trade Agreement, like this. There are few have. In 2005, Sri Lanka had an agreement with Europe to get the duty-free to export the apparel, but that was terminated in 2010 because of the human rights issues. But this government is this government tried to re-enter those markets, international markets, and countries in external debit trap. If you see this diagram, these are the projects in Sri Lanka. Most of them are the infrastructure project, the physical infrastructure project, the transportation. The brown colors are the projects which are related with infrastructure. So Sri Lanka obtained more loans from outside the other countries. So external debit is high. You can see in the graph. The next factor is social factor. More than 67% of population is in between 15 to 64 years old. So Sri Lanka has a big skilled labours, and
source. Where did you get those figures?
so internet.
Intention, where? Source. Sorry,
The TV, radio, and other digital media influence the attitude and constitutions of people. And considerable amount of people have been addicted to drugs and cigarette and liquor, and people are afraid to raise the voice due to political situation in country, and different groups have been formed based on language, religion, and races. This is not good for Sri Lanka peace, and Sri Lanka has a social service network to ensuring the education, healthcare, and medical system for all sector of nation. The last one is the value of culture and the religion is decreasing. The next factor I will discuss by.
Thank you, Bani. So to move on with the situation analysis that we have done using the President model for the manifesto of President Maithripala Sirisena, the technological factors include the railway network, which is operated throughout the country, more than 1,447 kilometers, and the highways which have been recently established and developed a road network throughout the country. So these two technological factors could be used to establish an industrial zone and to increase job opportunities and the income. And we see more than 4 million internet subscribers in Sri Lanka, so awareness and frauds can be spread through social media and through internet facilities. So Sri Lanka has more than 461 patents registered under the National Intellectual Property Office, which is a clear indication that there is innovation in the country, it's just that it's not properly pointed at. Natural resources are not effectively managed for energy generation. We see prime examples of it happening throughout the country. Less motivation for research and development, government and latest technologies are not appropriately used in agriculture and fisheries. So there are good examples of countries using their boats who go out to fish. They have boats with productions of packeting tuna or making tuna tins in the ship itself. So they go out months into the sea and they come in later. So when people come back with the fish, they will already have the produced good produced. Moving on to the PESTO model, environmental factors. Sri Lanka is a prime, is a perfect destination for a vacation and for tourism because of the tropical climate. And the Colombo city gives an attractive look. But this also has made made changes in deforestation, pollution, and filling the marshy land. So there are side effects of doing this as well. Dengue is a major threat that needs to be addressed, and it is due to the threat of pollution. It is sad to say that country's soil has been polluted by all these pesticides and weedicides brought from foreign sectors, foreign companies, foreign individuals, which has tainted the soil for more than a period of 50 years. There are millions of Ayurvedic herbs which are unrecognized, which can surely cure and maybe have remedies for medication. Drainage system in the city has a lot of issues, especially in Colombo, being the city side, being the main city of the country. And legal factors would be, at the moment the judiciary system takes a long time to present. It takes a long time for the legal proceedings to happen. And executive powers of the former president has always interfered with the decisions made by the judiciary system. And this has to be changed, and which is supposed to be independent at the moment. So we try to focus on seeing the challenges for the 100-day program proposed by President Maithripala Sirisena. So the first challenge would be to build the 100-day program within 100 days, and bringing the real traders into court, into justice, and getting approved for policies which would stop bribery and corruption throughout the public sector, taking off the presidential powers without establishing the parliament as the secondary source of power. So, moving on, there are a few challenges that need to be addressed after the 100-day program. So, a strategic objective and initiative with the national budgeting process should be organized, and no clear mechanism is to identify the trade-off agreement among economic, social, and environmental dimensions. These were the challenges beyond the 100-day program. Moving on, Ranti will take.
Manifesto is to develop an ideal country for the people to live. So freedom will set the base for the country, and it will welcome investors, tourism, and also lots of other opportunities. Government will have to use natural, human, social, financial, and manufactured capital to develop the country, and when there are more investments, there will be lots of job opportunities, and it will increase the income level of the people. And when there are more investment, the quality of the life of people will be developed because of the more services and the technology. When you are educated, when you are healthy, you can contribute for a sustainable country, and in return it will help for the sustainable life. So this is our proposed plan, and we would recommend to have the independent commissions as soon as possible, because then they can continue their work. And also we would like to suggest to have a work plan to improve discipline in society, and to improve the standards and the quality of the teachers and the principals in the schools, to improve the standards of the schools, to avoid stopping it, closing down some rural schools. And most importantly, we would like to suggest to have a central information system to maintain information about the drugs, because there are lots of brands from the same medicine, so people have no way of getting to know what are the available drugs and their prices. And we would recommend to have a presidential parliamentary system before taking off the executive powers, because it can lead for some ideal situation of this country with less powers and strategies. We would recommend power sharing with responsible parties, align with other political parties, building trust, teamwork with public sector, government and commissions, diversification, differentiation, long-term planning instead of planning for their governing period, joint ventures with multinational organizations like UNW considers they bring a lot of revenue for the country, and personal strategy we have a lot of patents, around 600 patents with us, so we can use them to achieve a new market in the world and irrespective of the recommendations.
For the recommendations, we need to bring down new investors here, and we need to provide permissions between them and select the best suitable investor. And we need to promote manpower intensive industries into Sri Lanka because we have huge capacity of manpower, and we need to give disruptive products to increase the volume, so like Vega electric car, sports car, and car chargers. And regarding and repositioning the existing product, we can promote our carrot or coconut water cocktails to international market and promote ready-to-drink tea, hot and cold. And also we need to redefine the tourism industry. We can build amuse park in Chaminda and cable car system around the world. And public service should be people oriented. We need to give right position to suitable people. Making independent from political influence is highly needed. And it's better to have public service in Saturday and allow them to cater the public requirements. And we need to introduce information systems into public service to track the process improvement with some ticketing system. And we need to promote energy efficient vehicle into Sri Lanka. And we need to support them with necessary infrastructure. And Sri Lanka having 5-6 hours daytime with good solar energy, so we need to promote solar grid systems with tax benefits. And we need to improve the public transport, increase number of trains, and we schedule the public transport timetables according to the demand.
No time.
Questions?
Yes. We have more time to go.
No, only one.
Right, so open for clarifications, questions, comments, attacks.
There's one question
Speak
regarding the executive presidency. What is your plan or strategy to abolish it? What would you say we should do? And the question, I mean, now
How you do?
we have the Maithripala Sirisena has said he will abolish the president.
Where is it?
Manifesto.
Huh?
Manifesto.
Show which chapter? Which
First chapter.
Okay, go ahead.
So, what are your plans? What is your strategy to do that? Now, to abolish that, you need parliament support and referendum. Now, what is your strategy to do that?
First, we need to have better system.
Which system?
Solar power? No. We need to have we need to give power to the parliament and parliamentary committees and have better solution than president.
As a strategic organization, we we recommend that before abolishing the executive presidency, that the whole system need to be changed to a parliamentary system. Two-third power should be gained by the parliament, and should be once the parliament gets the hold of the majority, then the president needs to, if as promised, need to abolish the executive presidency according to the manifesto.
The question was, what is the plan to get
We are a strategic
two-third?
group which could tell you how better to do this, but not to tell the president to abolish the
Yeah, how better
system.
you abolish the...
So get the two-thirds vote of the
How to
parliament.
get the two-third power in parliament? That's my question.
It's a vote-based decision.
I think if we complete the 100 days program according to the plan, according to our plans, they can get the two-thirds.
But you have to abolish it within the 100 days.
Mr. Anil Kamsingh mentioned that for next couple of years they are going to have a multi-party government.
But as per manifesto, it should be abolished by the 100th day, no? You can't take that
Other way.
Mr. Iresh, you are actually presenting that one who have already planned these things. Okay, so we know that we have to get the two-third vote of the parliament. So we are asking how can we do that?
How can we do it?
As a consultant.
As a
As a consultants, we know we need your input on how to win two-third.
It's
Okay,
only-
you can have discussions with the members of the parliament. You can have alliance with the other parties. That's what I explained in my strategies. Having alliances with the other parties, work as teams. Then you collaborate with them. Then they will be interested in your opinions. They will be interested in getting power for them as well to govern the country. So because president is not the person who is going to govern the country with only his excellence.
One question. I'm asking this as a cabinet minister.
What will be your portfolio?
One. How did you calculate time frames for certain activities? I saw that there are 5 years, 1 year, based on what way?
Weeks or
Years.
Years and weeks.
Yes, one question.
Yeah,
The recommendation.
the last one. Inspiration. Yeah, it is within 5 years promote organic food industry. To produce the food, it takes 5 years, right? You can't just. I can't.
How did you do that analysis? You have using some tools or something?
Okay, now if we take this food industry, as we explained that we can't go for the organic foods from tomorrow because it takes time. So that's why we gave a time period of 5 years. It's a long-term plan. You can't instantly move into organic foods and there will be some unstable situations in economic as well if you move to the organic foods from tomorrow onwards. So supply demand issues. There will be problems like that. So we concern those things. I don't think I need to go into.
And in the manifesto, Maithripala Sirisena is talking about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, which part you actually analyzed from the manifesto? This your presentation. So what are the things you derive from manifesto?
This organic food industry plan was also there.
No, but fine. Now your best analysis is how you do that. Is it by your own knowledge about Sri Lankan politics or?
The manifesto states the problems in the country at the moment.
Okay.
And the manifesto is the steps that the president is willing to take to eradicate the system from corruption,
So those problems
abuse.
most of they are actually
Yes, from the manifesto on their
Yes,
attraction.
yeah, so
In manifesto, he is talking about healthcare for all and about the kidney diseases, those kind of things. What is your plan on healthcare for all and about those kidney patients and local fertilizer, those kind of things?
we already discussed that.
Yeah, so fertilizers have to be looked not outside Sri Lanka, and policies need to be brought down to stop imports in dangerous pesticides and weedicides that affect the kidneys of the human being. And yes, the agro focus are in our slide. Agrochemicals, then damage to agrochemicals have been a major reason for kidney disease throughout the country. So this needs to be addressed, which we identified from the pestle analysis. As you mentioned, so the answer would be to stop all imports of dangerous pesticides and weedicides that affect the farmers' kidneys and even the consumers' kidneys as well, as in health issues. Apart from that, policies need to be implemented in having proper regulations in checking how dangerous is this pesticide, how dangerous is this agricultural chemical.
We need to give proper training for the farmers and any other people who is going to use it, because in the present situation, as you said, they are not aware of how to use it. They just put the fertilizers or the chemicals into the open cabbage. That's why people ask not to eat cabbage.
Okay, so to wrap up now, I am actually not yet very sure what is your input in terms of strategic analysis. You have done a good situation analysis of what problems, of course, you all know, and it also discussed in Manifesto. But now, in terms of evaluating the Manifesto, we have not done really much work. We have made some suggestions, but now also the suggestions are not really implementable actions, but strategic, analysis and strategic suggestions. How we should do that? It's not very clear, except that 17 months, 17 weeks plan, that is actually 600 days. Now, I will focus on your 100 days. The focus of this analysis is not 100 days, for 5 or 6 years. So, what are the elements we consider as your 100 days?
In the recommendation section, we address that. Like energy problem and public service, and also for the education and for the export industry also.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next group please. Quick turn around, what do you call it? Hand over. Thank you very much for the group. Don't block the camera. Group 2, we have now the group Milan group. Milan 1, Shadi. We have 5 minutes to set up. When you start. Are we in the right side, right percentage? Is the right football something? So you have freedom to decide how to conduct it. So ask questions or
start early, we will have more time.
His Excellency Premier Chaminda Hettiarachchi and
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister and the member of Cabinet. We are from Milan Council Group. Here are my key members. One, Prasadi, Milan, and Chandru. So ministers like we are now going to analyze a situation analyze where you are now weak. So we are using the famous SWOT analysis to describe your strength, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. So let's take a look at the strength. The biggest strength is you all got a people's mandate in last election. So the public wave is still with you. So and you have a good set of professionals, MBA holders, MSc holders. Compared to the previous government, the professionals are holding important portfolios in your government. So is it easy to something understand and by you? And we have seen a very rare occasion that the President and the Prime Minister and the member of cabinet, you all are aligned with the same view. Usually, when the President and the Prime Minister are from the two parties, which is not happen. And not only you, but thanks to the previous government as well. Now you have something, a developed infrastructure than earlier. It's a different point that someone is, if we are using those infrastructure effectively and utilize it well, but you have something to start. So from the business's point of view, your cabinet is a multi-party government. Like your cabinet consists of different parties, different persons who are holding a different view. This can be advantage, but we see a kind of drawback of here. Like since you are holding a different views, to agree on something, you need a lot of discussion, and you may take a lot of time, and so on. And other fact is like it's a political matter. No clear majority in parliament, but I'm sure as experienced ministers you can solve that very easy. You know the methods and the thing, how you can get the majority. And what are the opportunities you have? It's like after the victory of the President Sirisena, there were a lot of congratulation messages arrived from the different countries, including USA, India, and China. So you have a good opportunity to set up a good international relation, and the international pressure on you in certain areas like human rights, the media freedom will be minimum for your government, so you can focus on the other fields that you need to engage. And the declining coal prices in the world market, I think you have already took the advantage of that, decline the fuel prices in here as well, and the benefit of that will goes to the transport sector, to the industrial sector, and not only that, also the general public. So that is a big opportunity that you can use. And the threats, you have a strong opposition in parliament. You have to take every step with careful, and there's a threat of increased debt. I got from the interview of your finance minister, which is published in Sri Lanka Business Online. He said like now it's up to the 88.9 for the percentage of GDP, and the limited time availability. I know that the time availability can be extended, but mainly you are promised to do certain things within 100 days. If it is done successfully only, you will get extended another 5 or 6 years. So these are the situation analysis that His Excellency Prime Ministers and the ministers, you all are now in according to our analysis. So
You don't have a Prime Minister, His Excellency. He's Honorable President, and he's also asked not to say that. He's Honorable.
Honorable, yes, Honorable Prime Minister, and now we are going to take the manifesto one by one and see what you have promised and what you can deliver accordingly. So I would like to invite one to continue. So you have 11 sections in your President Maithripala Sirisena's manifesto. So we'll go through them one by one. The first one is the constitutional amendment and guaranteeing democracy. So the first thing in this manifesto is the abolishment of the unlimited powers granted to the executive president. So let's see what are the problems we have and how can we resolve it. So the first thing is the president cannot abolish it alone. He needs the support of the parliament and he needs to go to a referendum. So and there is a risk of destabilizing the country being destabilized due to this. So what is the solution for this? As the solution, we have to gather all the major parties and secure the majority of the parliament. For now, we have the Jata JUP, and other parties are in your side, and that working towards that, you can get the majority of the parliament plus the referendum. You can abolish the executive presidency. But we have said before, President Sirisena said he will not abolish it, but reduce the powers. Actually, that should be done because he has said that and he should communicate that to the public because there is much confusion regarding that. Next one, going through that, there is some more recommendations done. In the manifesto there was the number of composition of the cabinet ministers, which is being reduced to 27 right now. That's good. And the parliament committee system will be going on and it will be reinforced. Any event of assessment of merits of each department or ministry, and the code of ethics that should be done within the parliament itself for to prevent bribery, prevent fraud happening in the ministries and any other departments. So another one you have mentioned in the manifesto is the amendment for the electoral system. We already have preferential system, and we are suggesting that we go for the first past the post system, where a candidate from each electorate district or electorate will be appointed, and the candidate will be given some chance. But in this case, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party has a majority of the preferential parliament. So you have to think about how you're going to do this and how you're going to do this. And there are pros and cons you have to discuss. So going forward, the mechanism to improve good governance. In the past, we have seen judicial, police elections, auditing, and office of attorney general being harassed by the president's former president through his executive powers. So bringing these independent commissions is very important and should be done transparently in order to get much appreciation from the public itself. Ensures the right for information act. That is another thing, and encourage citizen participation, economic and social and human rights activities, another part. So the second part of your manifesto is the development economy. So we have analyzed this, and we can see that all the things that were in the past should be stopped. The mega wastage and corruption of the former regime should be stopped, and like we talked about in the SWOT analysis, debts should be lowered because of this, and all the other listed things are on this slide. We should be able to get them into a proper state. Punishment of all responsible technical offences, lowering prices of 10 essential foods. That would be very good for the country itself. increase the monthly salary allowance, we will do that. Increase the public servant salary and the interim allowance to pensioners, 11.5 rate, but we will do it further. And a program to provide housing for people in shelter and protection from the war victims. And the third one is moral society, we have said. In the past, we have seen a lot of issues regarding the guns and the liquor cigarettes. So you have come down very hard on the gun smugglers and things. That is very good and it should be continued. And the cigarette package warning should be 80% is another thing. So what we can see is you are going forward with this plan and you are actually on the right track here. But what you need to do is drive through this and get the people responsible behind bars. And the religious freedom, another big issue in the past regime. You have to do this once in order to get some the public in your favor. And the promotion of arts and culture with the provide artists physical financial to activities. And the other one, mentioned the responsibility for property rights. We give the artists and whoever the people. So for the next part, I would like to invite the
Prime Minister this food security and sustainable agriculture that Manifesto has included several factors under this category. It says about agrochemicals causing to kidney diseases will be banned. This is a very good thing, and we are importing rejected fertilizer stocks without considering about the quality standards. So there should be a transparent body to check the quality of the chemicals before releasing from the harbour. So the specialists in this area, chemical specialists can be included in that board to check the quality of the fertilizer before releasing. And the stocks which do not fulfill the standard should be returned. And on the other hand, the farmers must be educated about the how to use the chemicals. They are using dosages to get short-term results. That's a very big impact to the environment. So they should be educated about the environmental impact of those chemicals, and they should be educated about how to use it correctly and correct time periods. And it can be done through the officers of the agriculture department of the country. And mechanization of the agriculture can be done through improve equipment and enhance power supply to the farms. But Sri Lanka cannot spend much money on that right now. It can be done step by step. And so it's better to have a mix of human labor, animal power and mechanical power in cultivation. And the farmers can be encouraged to use organic chemicals. They can be encouraged by providing laws to that kind of cultivations. And the land use details can be handled through the geographical information system. The farmer details and land use details can be included in centralized database. So some of the government organizations are using that kind of technologies to handle land use projects. It's better to implement those things in other these land use projects as well. In Healthier for All, it says the facilities of the government hospital should be increased and the staffing problems also should be addressed. And with the enough staff in the government hospital in rural areas, the long queues of the main hospitals can be reduced. And the manifesto says that all mothers will be given an allowance of 20,000 at the delivery of each child. That is no need to give this for all people. It should be for poor people and educate them about the nutrition and food safety. And this allowance can be paid monthly basis, not at once. If we have paid it once, they will use it for other purpose, not for the actual purpose. So we can pay it on a monthly basis and So the BD students can be filtered from DND level, DST level, district levels and provincial levels. So the next two products will be explained by me.
Thank you, Shali. So next about the internal relations that define the country. So here you know that the foreign policy in a country. So how do you mean the foreign policy about the country? Foreign policy is to all of the policies is developed because its national interest as its interest in the other countries. So a country's national interest, what do you mean? The country's national interest in the sense economics, military, cultural, trade, finance, human rights. So the foreign policy are implemented to ensure that these national interests are lasting impact on many other countries. So therefore, our country's foreign policy has to formulate with high-level decision-making process to reflect the government's national perspective. So second point here they have said that unsuitable appointments. As you know, the previous government have some appointment programs in the IT industry, as well for the foreign ministry as well. So they have appointed for their relatives and everything. So it's not the proper way. So if you consider the US as an example, so there's a process to select the foreign ministers. There's an 8-step process, basically. So in order to overcome this challenge, the political appointments and the appointment of the relatives attached to this foreign service has to be cancelled. So appoint best qualified professionals candidates to that position in order to make the appointment. We need some parliament acts. Okay, so like other countries also have some kind of acts. So that's a recommendation. So next is our industry and services. Yeah. Here you know that since our countries have enough resources and everything, but we are not utilizing those stuff. So in order to utilize, so mainly these straightforward points here we have mentioned. So we have to more focus on these points. So already we have settled here. They have followed this solution to all problem of small which is that point. For example, say they have removed the European ban for seafood export to European countries. So like that, likewise, they have to focus on these points. To continue this presentation, I will come further.
So I quickly go through the public sector policy. There are 1 million public sector employees, and we suggest that strong restructuring might need because, for example, the railway is a department structure body, and the head of that cannot spend only 2,000 rupees at once without any prior approval of the ministry. So you may see that such a kind of dynamic sector like transport, this structure is not appropriate. So we suggest you all to go for a structural change. And the important thing is like in your manifesto I highlight with the asterisk mark, like you are President Sirisena has said he's going for the model of Singapore Temasek model. Temasek model is like kind of model like where you are all strategically important government institute and sectors are belongs to one investment company. In that sense, the Singapore National Airlines also belongs to the Temasek holding, and the President of Singapore has power to assign directors and prevent any corruption action, so on. So there are since we were experienced losses in our national strategic economic institute like Sri Lankan Airlines in past years, it will be helpful to start such an action, such a body, and guidance for the power and energy. And we strongly suggest to the introduce a power price formula for fuel. So whether it's if we cater for the all division, whether it's up or down as well as down. So tax constraints for fuel you have also given, already given, and we suggest improve public transport, because as your manifesto is mentioned, it costs only 15% of the total fuel imports and provides 60% of contribution to the transport service, including the private transports as well. So we would like to recommend to focus on that area as well. So media freedom, talking about like you have already started the Wi-Fi hotspot stabilization, and you taken initiatives to strengthen the right to information, bring the Right to Information Act, and also, as per your promise, establish the mechanism for stop operating the state media as propaganda tool. I mean, you can use as propaganda tool, but it should not be a weapon. That's the idea. So, in conclusion, we would like to focus on like 4 main recommendations. You should focus on utilize the existing resources rather than starting new projects, because there are a lot of huge costs there for the developed infrastructure. So you should try to get maximum out of from the existing resources. That will help to keep your financial discipline. And also, as I suggested, like strategy important institutions should bring under one body or one institute. So your finance ministry and the planning ministry can focus on their competencies on making policies. And also, as we promised, the establishment of the independent commission, as we stated in the manifesto, is highly important, because you promised a lot on the manifesto as well as on the election stage. And last section is like now our country's quality of life has increased. Unlike the previous days, we cannot do everything for the low cost. For example, now our garment industry focused on quality, not on the cost. So this movement is like slowly applicable to the other sectors as well. So we should focus more on knowledge-based economy rather than giving low cost service or product to the rest of the world. So we should move as a so the government should need to promote investors who focused on quality, not on the labor cost advantage or any other low cost advantages. So, ministers, that's all from us. Thank you for your time.
Go ahead. Previous group. Questions? Comments?
What is your plan to make sure that the concepts we are following, we have lots of plans to do for economic, social and other aspects. So what is your plan to make sure that one strategy we are using to develop, let's say, we develop economy, but what is your strategy to have look at how it will be effect on the society? There are pros and cons of doing each and every activity. So, do you have any idea how can we control that trade-offs?
This is our knowledge management minister. So the question is clear.
Question is half clear.
Can I explain it?
Like you are asking how the social impact and those things will be considered. Like I'll show you with the example.
Now you do the example. Now let's say you said like reduce usage of alcohol and these kind of. So what about freedom of people? Adults, they have right of drinking, right of playing, cleaning. I don't know. So don't you think that it will restrict people's freedom instead of moral?
Yes, of course, too. But we have to take the weight of the good side, because our health sector is spending. Especially we have a country where we have a free health sector. So spending a huge amount of money on like healthcare issues, cancers and everything. So the main cause will be drugs and cigarettes. So we are like highly actually.
So you support the idea that because of the implication on the burden on society, based on the burden on society in terms of health or even other impact, it's okay to go for increase of cigarette burning and discouraging alcohol consumption.
Yeah, that's how it's in the rest of the world. I think the prices of cigarette packet is very high, and there are number like 80% of pictorial warnings more serious than ours.
But she's asking how it's implication on the
the Sri Lanka society, social society.
You mean the freedom,
Yeah.
personal individual freedom?
Rights for people.
Yeah, I think it says in democracy also that you are right of you have the democracy unless it's not a trouble for the others. So we have seen passive smoking. There are a number of people get ill by passive smoking. So considering all these facts, we have to go for some decisions which may not in favor for the individual freedom, right? But we are suggesting, if you can, from the government expenditures, you can build separate smoking areas. This will address up to some extent that issue.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, you said now to prevent the smoking, we have three ideas. First one is increasing the price of packet of cigarette or something. Second idea is adding some pictures, some warning in the cigarette packet. Third one is ethical, you mentioned that, but for example, increasing the, not giving the free health service. How do you?
We don't say that don't give the free health service. We say that we spend so much of money on free health service, and bulk of that spending on this the illness caused on drugs and cigarettes.
Yeah, so do you think that giving free health service is a good suggestion for Sri Lanka?
No, it's not. In addition to that, now the Manifesto suggests to increase GDP as in percentage from 1.7 something to 3.5 for health.
Up to 3.
3, yeah. So is it a good policy or will you support that?
In the strategic point of view, that what we suggested, we should not increase the government expenditures, but we have to take it as politically and the culture-wise in Sri Lanka. From the beginning of our country, there are two themes in our political and the social. That's one is free education, and this is the free health industry. So any cost reduction on those two will be taken advantage by opposition, and as well as it will arise a huge opposed to the government aspect. So we are suggesting
combine the question now. In addition to health, there is also suggestion to increase education from 1.7 to 60 or 65. Are you supporting that also, or you are saying that that should be funded by some other sources?
The thing is, in the manifesto, it is mentioned clearly that we should increase our human resources and human capital in order to get good, generate good economy. So by increasing the education GDP to 6%, we can ensure that enough money is there for education, for to have people in there. Let's say, for example, the university system. There are a lot of people that cannot get into universities because of there's not enough space or not enough space for classes. By increasing the 6%, we can actually think of moving into creating more universities or creating more environment, room for universities to get those people in. And by doing that, increase the human capital in the country.
And last question?
Do you think that is good idea?
No, last question.
Increasing 6%, up to 6% from GDP for education. As a cabinet, investing on education is a long-term plan. So we need a strategic plan to get immediate outcome from that 6% GDP. What is your suggestions on that?
It's clear that 6% GDP cannot be done by overnight.
Yeah.
So as per manifesto also we are preparing a roadmap for the 6% of GDP, not that much. Even this budget they are at only 1.8. So my opinion is there are only two ways to do. Either you should increase the government revenue. So you can put more tax, or you should be getting rid of the lost entities from the lost institutions, business entities like you have experienced 3 billion loss in the Sri Lankan Airlines, Begin Airlines. So the reduction of cost on that will help you to, if you really think the investment on aviation is getting more benefit to the society, and those are the two methods that we are suggesting.
What about reallocating from defense? Do you suggest that we have the highest allocation for national defense?
Yeah, but nowadays the defense ministry, the scope is kind of like undefined. We have seen the defense forces involved in the urban development, and the urban development authority is under the Ministry of Defense, and nowadays like you separated for the from this government, but I think we don't spend much now, but compared to the
still in the last year.
The last year structure is different, but now the
So I am suggesting as a policy measure, to the question asked, reallocate higher defense to education and health, or you are suggesting to improve risk tax and allocate more for health and education?
Yeah, I suggest is like getting rid from the unprofitable entities like Sri Lankan Airlines and so on, and allocate that money for the education.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have two presentations done. So we'll take 10 minutes break. Exact 10 minutes will start at 12. Please come here, and maybe the third group can come 5 minutes before and prepare. We'll take 10 minutes
Saya isi katakan pula. Ini ulannya. Ini mana dan